At the end of episode 2 of Loki, the main Loki variant that we're tracking, the one that the show's actually about, um, along with Mobius and some of the other TVA agents, ran into the hooded variant that they've been tracking, like since that showed up at the end of the first episode, the one that's been killing all the TVA agents, who was revealed, of course, at the end of this episode to be a female version of Loki. They ran into her, and after she succeeded with her plan to send reset charges across various points on the sacred timeline and cause a bunch of new branch timelines to be created, she opens up one of the portals that the TVA agents normally enter through, and she walks through it. And meanwhile, Loki also follows her through that. I don't know what his intentions are for following her, but considering how unique this series has been so far, there's no telling where that portal might actually lead them to, or where Lady Loki is going that Loki is following her to. But I'm going to drop a few theories about it anyways. So let's get started. One of the places I think they're headed to is probably one or more of the new branch timelines that was created. And I think that Lady Loki might try to either explain what's going on or why she's doing this to Loki, or she'll try to escape his pursuit. Like, I think it's going to be something like, that's probably what the series is going to center around. All of a sudden, there's all these new timelines that she created, and Loki's just kind of chasing her through the timeline while the TVA is chasing him. And I don't know if eventually they're going to end up working together by the end or whatever, but I do know that Loki wanted to get her help in overthrowing the Time Variance Authority and everything else, and she doesn't want to do that. We don't really know what her plan is exactly yet, but I think maybe throughout the next couple episodes they could just be kind of timeline hopping or something along those lines, and she's checking out these branch timelines to see if they played out the way that she had intended with these reset charges that she sent to each timeline. So maybe she's checking up on that. Maybe this is just her way of escaping. She doesn't know Loki's behind her, although she did kind of leave the portal open a little bit longer, so she probably did want him to follow her, because she's probably going to try to sway him into helping her rather than the other way around. Whatever her agenda is, though, it's definitely causing a lot of trouble across the whole timeline, everything else. So I think it'd be interesting to see if this is how, because we've seen a lot of different places Loki goes, like just in the trailers alone, there were a lot of, like, it looks like he's maybe at the end of, maybe not time, but like it looks like there's some kind of explosions all around and things like that. There's somewhere he goes where you see Avengers Tower in the background, like maybe a version of the battle in New York that Loki actually won, instead of what we saw like in the first Avengers where the Avengers won. All those things I think were caused by Lady Loki's timeline disruption rather than Loki's just, being a variant and things like that. They made it seem like Loki was the cause of this, but now we know that in this episode, she caused all this. So I think it'd be interesting to see them hopping across these different timelines that she's now created. Meanwhile, as the TVA tries to, patch everything back together and get rid of each of these timelines. So right now, they'll kind of both be on the run from the TVA, who will be chasing them through these different timelines that have been created. I think that's kind of like one explanation, or another could be that maybe now that the TVA is more vulnerable because everyone's kind of spread out, trying to go and fix all these new timelines that were created. Maybe Lady Loki is heading to the TVA to attack them because, there's not as much help there because now, they're, like I said, they're trying to fix these timelines. Maybe she's going after Justice Renslayer, who's like the head of the TVA essentially, or the judge at least, who seems to have her own kind of secrets. She seems like that secret villain type person, kind of like the Tyler Hayward of what Tyler Hayward was to WandaVision. He had his own secret agenda. Now we got her in this show. Maybe Lady Loki wants revenge on her for something that she did in a different timeline. Maybe something to do with her family or whatever. So I think by spreading out, by causing these timeline disruptions, it causes the TVA members to spread out to fix them, which gets them away from the TVA building or the main headquarters, wherever that is. and then Lady Loki can go there to try and take out her, or just destroy the TVA from the inside somehow. And Loki's going to have to either stop her or make the decision to join her, things like that. Because he is the god of mischief, so I'm sure he'll be playing kind of both sides of the coin or something along those lines. I think that would be an interesting twist. Maybe not even do that in episode 3. Maybe it could be like a mix of both of the things I've said so far. They do some timeline hopping for a couple episodes, and then they head to the TVA, because that would spread them out even further, as like Mobius and them are tracking them to these different timelines, and now they go back to where you wouldn't expect them to go, back to the TVA to attack them. Now, this next one, I think they might be going to wherever the Timekeepers are. I don't know. I feel like the TVA is probably... I don't know if they're intentionally lying to Loki or they've been lied to themselves, but I don't know if the Timekeepers even really exist in the MCU, because no one seems to know who they are or where they are or what they're up to, except Renslayer. But I think maybe Lady Loki, by disrupting the timeline this much, I think that'll cause the Timekeepers to come out of hiding or whatever, and then she can attack them. Now, Loki did try to convince her to help him, like I said earlier, overthrow the TVA and take out the Timekeepers, but he wants to do it for his own agenda. So I'm thinking maybe she didn't seem interested in helping him, but maybe she wants to take out the Timekeepers for her own agenda as well. And either way, I guess that would mean there's a Loki controlling the timeline now. I don't know if she's necessarily going to be the villain by the end of this series, but I think if they do attack the Timekeepers, maybe Loki will join forces with her, and then they will both kind of just become the new Timekeepers or something. So maybe that could be where she's going. She actually was convinced by Loki, and she decides to show him where the Timekeepers are so he can meet them. But I don't think that will happen until, that's probably something that won't even ever happen, or it won't happen until the end of the series. But if they were going to do it, do it in episode 3, and then something gets interrupted or whatever, or they're not there when they get to where the Timekeepers normally are. And finally, I think they will end up in whatever timeline Lady Loki is actually from. Maybe she's trying to change something from her own past. Maybe by causing these disruptions, she's trying to change something in her own timeline by disrupting the main timeline, I guess. I don't know how that would work, but maybe that's what she thinks. She can alter something by, doing this and causing these disruptions. And then she will go there to see whether or not her timeline tampering has changed whatever she's been trying to change. And then maybe Loki will help her, or realize that she's actually a good person and he'll want to help her or whatever. Who knows exactly where this portal will lead. But it could be any of these scenarios or something else. So let me know in the comments section what you guys think. Where do you think this portal is leading them to? Where are they going to go next? Let me know your thoughts on the Loki series so far. Thank you for watching this video, and please subscribe for more, and we will see you in the next one.
Subscribe.